Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So this video is about Hebrews 11, verses 32 through 34. And what more shall I say? I do not have time to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson, and Jephthah, about David and Samuel and the prophets, prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, and gained what was promised, who shut the mouths of lions, quenched the fury of the flames, and escaped the edge of the sword, whose weakness was turned to strength, and who became powerful in battle and routed foreign armies. Not people who resort to causing me to stumble on my words using fumes. Those people are called cowards from the lowest stock possible. So they became powerful in battle. Now, did they become powerful in battle using technology? No. How do we know that? Well, first of all, it's obvious. If I have to explain Isaiah 31:3, my goodness. But let's explain it for those idiots who want to pretend that I'm not what I obviously am, which is Christ. Isaiah 31:3, but the Egyptians are mere mortals and not God. Mere mortals and not God. Their horses are flesh and not spirit. When the Lord stretches out his hand, those who help will stumble, those who are helped will fall, all will perish together. Now the Egyptians also had chariots, and they had all kinds of technologies related to warfare. They're saying their horses, their chariots, their horses leading their chariots, their technologies, their mere flesh, their mere psychology is not God. Now how do we know what is God? God is known and exalted by his acts of justice. Now who is Horus in his true form? He is the idea of the Son of God. As compared to the falcon flies high, has a certain vision, dives at 242 miles an hour, faster and master. To fast, Godspeed, fasting. The word diving is like the word divine. So Horus in his true form is the top martial artist who administers justice, who's the essence of warfare from God, which is being the top martial artist. And it's so obvious the word martial is marital scrambled, as in marriage. They're also marital arts on the highest level. And I, Christ, am the bridegroom, the ideal bridegroom, the Son of God, to the point where I'm called the bridegroom. Champion, see Ham, Abraham. Amos 9:7, are you not the same as the Cushites unto me, O children of Israel, the offspring of Ham? You know them by their fruits, not by their flesh-based claims. Now, who else made flesh-based claims? It was the Egyptians who were not right with God. You had Set in Egypt, you had Horus in Egypt. You had fake forms of Horus, you had true form of Horus. You had the Pharaoh who elevated Joseph and helped the Jews. You had the Pharaoh Ramses who persecuted the Jews, right? So this is an ancient martial art argument that predates the Torah, that goes back to Africa no matter how you slice it. And Moses is said to have learned the ways of the Egyptians. Again, but the Egyptians are mere mortals and not God. Their horses are flesh and not spirit. They're not in the spirit of universal pinpoint and moral precision, is the argument that Isaiah is making in chapter 31. When the Lord stretches out his hand, those who help will stumble. Those who are helped will fall. They will all perish together. Is this consistent with Revelation 18? You betcha. Revelation 18:4. Then I heard another voice from heaven say, come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of her plagues. Incidentally, the word share is like the word Heros. It's the word Hera scrambled. And Hera is Zeus's consort, his wife, and Zeus's Middle Eastern equivalent is Baal. For her sins are piled up to heaven, and God has remembered her crimes. So they're supposed to come out of the spirit of being in rebellion against God. Now, how are they in rebellion? Because they're relying on their flesh and their technology, which are also deities. Deities of families, deities of science, deities of profane sex, deities of, the hunt, and so on and so forth. Those pagan deities were deities of principles, and they were profane, pro-fake principles versus the actual master, faster and master. Now, we also see in the New Testament it says, whoever does not gather with me scatters. And martial, spelled differently, means to gather, to arrange, to order. The divine order, the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order. Not a pagan order, an order of universal pinpoint and moral precision. Universal. Because when you make these arguments and say Egypt to every nation on the planet, if they were to be there, ancient Egypt, that everyone knows you're right because universal truths transcend any specific cultural belief system, except for universal pinpoint and moral precision because it's based in moral absolutes. So through universal pinpoint and moral precision, David as a character in the story is said to become powerful in battle. And in 1 Samuel 17, in verse 52, it says, "Then the men of Israel and Judah surged forward with a shout and pursued the Philistines to the entrance of Gath and to the gates of Ekron. Their dead were strewn all around the Sharon road to Gath and Ekron." Okay, from my notes that is. So they use the word surged. Why is this significant? Because they're in a certain spirit. They're in a spirit of universal pinpoint and moral precision, which directed them as they were the body of David in a sense, and the body of God in a sense, as they acted in the same spirit, atonement, at one mind, in the same mind and spirit, the same state of being, a divine being and the state of being. The word sword is like the word words, and they're also like the word draws. The A for the alpha, the O for the reproductive cycles. Draws and sword. Drawing the sword in what spirit? If you don't know I'm right, then you're crazy. Now ask yourself, is it enough for a Jewish person to argue that they're Jews so they're automatically in the spirit? No. Because again, these are the people who executed the prophets in the Old Testament, beat them up, didn't listen to them, and were punished time and time again until in the New Testament it said the kingdom of heaven will be taken away from you and given to a people who produce its fruit. Now what is the fruit of God? The kingdom of heaven is not a matter of talk, but of power. That's what it says in Paul's letters. And it says in Hebrews 11 that these people became powerful in battle. And in 1 Samuel 17 verse 52, that they surged forward in a certain power. Pow-er, power, spirit. Spirit to spear something. So as you look at this, the expert on the Spirit of God is the top martial artist. Not he who memorizes the most Bible verses or has studied the Bible the longest. Only an idiot would think that that's the case when you know the devil has been there forever and ever and ever. That's why it's the tree of life, and out of the fruit of the righteous comes the tree of life, comes the fruit of wisdom, and wisdom is said to be a tree of life in Proverbs 10 and Proverbs 11. And so we see that righteous intensity. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun shining ever brighter to the full light of day. There you have the sun and the solar Son of God. So don't mistake the fake versions of Jesus and the fake versions of Horus with what they're superimposed on, which is the top martial arts ever possible, whose soul, my soul, is the Son of God.